Peace, 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 family. How are you all doing? My name is Keisha. I am the owner of Ascendant Astrology, and I am your astrology coach. Today, I'm going to be discussing cutting energetic cords. And the reason I decided to do this topic today is because it's the new year we're moving into. We should probably be having this conversation around springtime. But that's a whole other conversation, y'all. And so I named this video, This is How You Get Revenge, being sarcastic. Because I think in a sense we all are fighting this battle in some way, shape, or form or area in our life. And it's just an important conversation to have around Capricorn season, especially with the opposition being Cancer. We'll be having a Cancer full moon coming up on the 6th of January. Don't quote me on that date, but um, this is always the access for me of our lineage and the things that we pass down from generation to generation and the generational curses and breaking generational curses and all those types of things and cutting the cords to things that we are connected to that are toxic or they're not benefiting us in some way, shape, or form. And so I was watching the Zoe What channel, and I'll leave the link down in the bio. And if I forget, family, just remind me, say, hey, the link's not in there so you can watch his video to see his perspective and what he has to say. But I started to take down some notes and I said, we should probably have this conversation right now. I think it's an important conversation to have. And my sister asked me, she's going through a transformation in her life, and she was like, how do you break um curses or generation energetic um attacks, and how do you cut away from that? She's like, how do you use the sage and the Palo Santos and all that stuff there? Um and I was like, you know what, this is a good time to have a conversation like this. So um this time of year, our hearts get really heavy. We spend time with people that we have issues with, that we spend time with people that we haven't resolved problems with, or we move on from people we haven't resolved issues with, because the holidays say, it's the most wonderful time of the year. Y'all know it. Is it really? Uh, I'm just saying, we're programmed to participate in some way during the holidays, right? And a lot of people are like, Scrooge, and they choose not to participate, but it's really because we don't know how to cut cords, or, energetic cords that keep us connected to toxicity, you know? This kind, as I was going through this whole thing, it kind of reminded me of the saying, if you love them, let them go. If they return, it was meant to be. If they don't, then we weren't meant to be, right? And let me make this very clear, because as astrology, I'm going to add some astrology into this conversation, states, um, this can happen for people in multiple different ways, just by way of astrology in general. we're going to experience this in many ways. So it doesn't always have to be people. It could be people, places, and things. It really just depends on, where you're at in your journey, and trying to understand and be able to identify where these things are coming from for you. So, um, I think, we all have these situations where we meet the same problem and different people and wonder why. You'll cut somebody off or a situation out that's no longer serving you or that's bringing you stress or discomfort or you know, um I want to say dis-ease, um just for it to come back in a different person. Same lesson, though. Same lesson, right? And that's because, we haven't really resolved those issues. This is what they call an etheric cord, also known as soul tie by way of religion, or entanglements by way of the metaphysicians. Um, and as our relationships deepen, the energetic cords strengthen. You know, no matter if you're cutting it out and you think that just cutting it out ends it there, or you stay because it's comfortable, or we get caught up in these titles and things like, I own you because we're in a relationship together type of energy. Um, very interesting. Um, yeah. We all kind of have these issues, and I think they tend to come up the most and the strongest at this time. Um, you can move on and still be connected. I was listening to a show and a lady was talking about how she, has kids with somebody, and she mentions that, she's still cordial with her significant other or ex or children's father. And something, I think he got into like a car accident, and she felt that she said she just kept feeling that whole day like something wasn't right, something was wrong, something was off, and she didn't know what it was. And then she received a phone call about him having gotten into an accident. That's an energetic cord. That's a soul tie. There's a connection there, right? So, they really can play out in all different kinds of ways. Moving on is easy, but getting over something or through something, you guys hear me say that on this channel all the time. you know, um, you can't just ignore the lessons and experiences you have to go through to learn and evolve in this lifetime. You really do have to go through it. You can't take a shortcut. You can't stuff it under the rug and be like, well, it's under the rug, so it doesn't exist. That's not real. You know, you're gonna have to go through it, you know? I don't know why that reminded me of the scene in Aquaman when um she was talking to Aquaman's dad before she had to go and return back to the water because she had to finish her karmic soul tie, or else she said they're gonna keep coming after me, right? She had another situation that she was in that she hadn't wrapped up, right? And they were both crying, and she said something so profound. She was crying, and she was like, when she's in the water, you don't get to feel the tears. And the father said, well, here you do, here on earth. Listen, pay attention. You get to feel it. You have to. You have to, right? Very interesting. I feel like I can go down a whole tunnel with that one, but I'm not gonna do that today. Okay. I'm trying to stay on track. That's why I got my notes, right? So you can move on and still be connected. Moving on is easy, you know, but getting through something and over something is different. Any unresolved issues creates an energetic cord. You can cut it off by untangling with it and not cutting it. Untangle with it, don't cut it. The act of holding on to grievances creates more karma and diverts karma from its original course and sends it back to the sender, which is you, family. It's you. It's you, which is just accountability, and again, it's going to be described from other people's perspectives in a multitude of different ways. I promise you, this isn't a new conversation that we're having, right? Meaning, if someone did something to you, you might want payback, you know, so you hold on to grievances. Um, you want revenge. That's why I said this is how you get your revenge. This is the real revenge, is cutting soul ties and learning how to do that and mastering that energy. So you hold on to grievances, but only the universe can give payback. And so it reverts back to you when you kind of try to avoid it. Now, Einstein's relativity theory says that we are particles. So if somebody is looking at us from the sun's perspective, we just look like particles. And and we have these energetic fields around us. This is your aura or your energetic field, right? You can connect through this energetic field, which is where the soul ties are created, right? You've seen these types of pictures everywhere. They look like people that are connected to something energetically, right? And we're doing this all the time with everything we connect with on a daily basis. So energy can never die. It can't be cut off. It just transforms. And its spiritual concept says that all is one collectively, which is Aquarius, by the way. When you talk about your soul tribe and finding the people who are on common ground with you. And so when we're talking about this energy from a global perspective, which is why I always do astrology from the global perspective, we're moving into the age of Aquarius. This is the goal here, which is to come together as a collective to build on one common goal, the 4400, right? Which is to overcome this curse of why we had to come down here, building heaven on earth, right? Remember this conversation when we're having this Saturn and entering into Pisces transit. I think the best example that I could give you for this conversation is if you watch Lucifer. If you've been watching me for a while, I talk about this show all the time. I don't care what anybody says. They did a damn good job with that show. I'm not really too privy to the Bible, but allegorically, the stories that they tell in there, that one episode where they show the devil, Lucifer, going back up to fight that big battle, to take his father's spot, becoming God, right? And again, everybody and their mother's going to have their own perspective on this story, but this is how I see Saturn, i.e., Lucifer, the devil, the underworld, is coming to the heavens. Pisces. This is the big battle. We're here. This is the spiritual battle that they had in that episode where we're fighting for the God in us, our rights for spiritual belief, our spiritual practices, getting in order, getting structured, getting disciplined, right? Are you ready, family? And let's not talk about Western culture. That's not helping with this at all because it's devoid of spirituality, making things even worse. Because everything you learn here in the culture is the exact opposite of spiritual intelligence, right? Which is the lesson of Pisces, by the way. And the answer is Sagittarius, right? I'm just saying, y'all, because Pisces rules victimhood, the victim mentality, the bottom of the barrel or crabs in the barrel energy, vampires, on a lower vibration, right? This is what we're talking about here, not taking accountability for the reasons why we're here on Earth, right? Lucifer got sent to hell to learn a specific lesson, right? And he had to keep going in that cycle. I think he said something like 65,000 years. 65,000 years. I'm making that number up. I just remember it being a really big number that he had cycles that he had to spend before he learned that lesson. And I think they talk about this, and when you get all biblical and whatnot, is that even in this process after you pass away, that some people never get past the pearly gates. They have to sit outside the gates until they learn the lesson of why they are here. What is your purpose? You gotta find your balance and get in your right heart, right? That's the weighing of the heart. And a lot of people will argue that you can do that here. That's what this whole journey is about. And so if you're not learning your lessons and you're not going through these things and you're not resolving issues, even when you get dead, gone, whatever you want to call it, you still gotta figure that stuff out. And most people end up coming back. It depends. Everybody's story is going to be different, right? But um here we are, you know. I also think that Sagittarius is the answer by universal law, morals, ethics, the Kabbalion, which is like all the laws of doing unto others as you want done unto you, or just to simply be aware of when you are in the company of toxic energy, right? That's called consciousness. It just depends on what spiritual perspective or lens you're looking through these types of situations, right? So you can't cut people off, you can't ghost them, like we do here on Earth and just assume that it's all going to work out. Um, you have to redefine the relationship. And when you do, they're either going to reciprocate and you're going to work it out and make peace, or they're going to make up excuses. So how do you define the difference or how you define the difference is through assessment. We're supposed to assess each other. We're supposed to evaluate each other, but from a non-judgmental perspective. But assessing a situation can often come off as insecure, right? Which makes it toxic, by the way, right? Assessment in itself is not insecure, but assumption with judgment, anxiety, criticism, anger, suspicion, accusatory, then shifts this into insecure energy, right? And so when you try to untangle or change the dynamics of a relationship, once you realize something is toxic or become conscious that something is toxic and the people don't want to change, then they just want to use you. And that's your key. That's the answer, right? That is the conscious awareness that it's time for you to exit left. Okay. right? And so for many, many years, and I have talked about this briefly on here, I try to use some of my real life experiences to show how these astrological energies show up in real life. My dad comes here Thursday night, and there's a lot going on. Okay. It was busy. He had an appointment. He was supposed to be here shortly after he called, which was about 6:30. Didn't end up coming upstairs until about 9:30, and didn't end up leaving my house until about midnight, which he said when he came up he was only going to be here for 15 minutes. Yeah, the drama. Let me tell you, every time I do astrology, I be like, ain't gonna be me. Uh-uh. I'm be over here minding my business. The hell? Spirit said, oh, really? Let me show you. Every time, y'all. Oh, read, child. So my daddy comes up here and he says, me and my mom are the two oldest women in the family, and he feels as if we come together, that it'll make a difference and we can start building from there. And I looked at my dad and I said, Daddy, no, 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 Daddy. I was like, that's not gonna work because I can talk to my mom if I want to today. Let me just make myself very clear, family. I've gone through all this energy with my mom for really a long period of time. But over the last 5 years, I've washed my hands with our relationship because she always comes up with excuses. And I just said, you know what? Without judgment, today I don't see it as she's a bad mom. And, all those terms we use when we're upset because we want revenge. God damn it. She needs to pay. No, right? And so today I choose not to speak to my mother because I already understand what's going to happen with that situation. And I had a very long conversation with my dad and a dialogue about that. And it still amazes me to this day how many people give away their power so much they don't know. They don't think that they have the control of their life. They don't understand that the choices and decisions that they are making, whether they're aware of it or not, are their karma. It's their undoing. It's your situation, right? That you created, right? Accountability, family. That's it. It's just accountability. And it just blows my mind every time I think about it. Anyway, so he says, well, I'll give you $500. You take two, give your mother three, give her some hugs and kisses, make up, make nice, and make it seem as if this is how you call it when you give somebody an olive branch, if you will. And I still find it extremely interesting how this time of year is what this is all about, and this is what's happening in the sense, and how astrology tends to keep showing up in my life. Like, it just amazes me every time. It never freaking fails. And we did, because I'm not really mad at my mom anymore, you know? And so, what it also opened up the door for was now, if you've been following me for a while, I've had anxiety and been losing my fucking mind because Mars has been in Gemini since the end of August. And I promise you, every bad thought a person can have about a transit, I had it. I was like, oh my God, I'm going back to jail. They're coming for me. It's an attack on my life. I promise you I was scared. I'm still scared, y'all. I still got Mars and Gemini up until March. And my biggest fear about this transit is that it's gonna start a fight. Somebody gonna piss me the fuck off. I'm gonna say some nigga shit. I ain't gonna regret it. And it's gonna be. And that's just that. And I'm trying to be a new person today, fam. I'm trying to make better choices. And so immediately once I did the video for that, even having had looked at my horoscope and all the different ways that this can play out, was my sisters, my younger sisters, which Gemini rules, I talked about this. It really rules up until college age, but some will say childhood education age, right? Which is high school, which is where my sisters are. My sisters are between 20 and 25. And and it's been an interesting journey to see two things. Something that always happens to me as a Cancer moon in the 10th house. And I talked about this before in some of my videos that I got a reading a while back where the lady told me you're a generational curse breaker, right? Because I am the black sheep of the family and I've been determined to change the tradition of what's been passed down in our family, right? And it's been very interesting to be on this journey now from this perspective to see it all being played out. Even my two older sisters, I think they're more of the spectrum of maybe 35 to 30, and seeing how they come back to show me how I've changed a generational curse that has been passed down from my mom, which is where the frustration and discord between my mother and I comes in, right? And I'm like, damn, wow, when you really think people aren't paying attention to you and they're not listening, again, those energetic ties are very real. How you show up to people, Capricorn, your reputation, your public appearance is very real. People are watching. They are paying attention to what you're doing, especially if they look up to you. Capricorn, people who look up to you or people who you want to look up to you. Uh, if I said that right. Right? And now I'm getting it with the two younger ones where they're coming back and in so many different ways, asking all the questions like they just want to know, like, how'd you do it? They're seeing the trap, right? They are becoming conscious or aware of the toxicity of the generational curses that have been passed down, right? And they're like, I see it all now. I see it for what it really is, and how do we change the dynamics of these relationships or energetic ties in so many different words in our life, right? Because they're even noticing these are babies, y'all, that is leaking into their love relationships, their romantic relationships, and even friendships, even work bonkers, right? But also really, really, really beautiful in the way that this time around, as I played into the storyline that my dad wanted me to do, not only did I get a chance to prove that I really don't hate my mom, because I don't give a damn who you are. You can't show up somewhere and not be, if you're ignorant or you're an asshole, you can't help that. You can't pretend that you are not. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. That's not a judgmental statement, just meaning, in a lot of cases, when somebody says, I'm done with you, and that's a decision that they're making, they're standing on, um, then that's where they are, and they don't revert back or anything of a sort. But in this situation, I had the uncanny opportunity to show my family that I do not hate my mother. Really don't, you guys, right? That I'm over this. And boy, did we have a good time. right? We were dancing, singing, which, by the way, we're getting old. Yeah, we're too old for this shit. I was dancing out of breath. I said, oh. So now I'm being alerted to I got some health issues. I might it might be time for me to work on that. Talk about that. I'm working on it. But um, we really had a good time. We danced to music, we talked, we chatted. We didn't bring up the past. I'm not gonna lie, there was liquor and drugs involved. It always helps sometimes. Depends on where you are with it. And my sister had her friends over, but we really just had a really, really, really good time. And it felt good to hear the response that I got from my sisters on like, yo, you fucking did that shit, bitch. Like they don't really understand again that I have the power to choose who I connect with and how. Right. And so they're looking from the outside in, like, bitch, I know how you feel about mom. Like, you did that shit, bitch. Like, if you didn't like her, or we couldn't tell tonight, shit, you know? But I mean that from the bottom of my heart. There's no disdain there. I just know that there's nothing going to come of it because she has to change her perspective, right? It has to be done by her. There's nothing I can do to help her see what I see and why I have these expectations of how the relationship will be run from this point on. You know what I'm saying? So, I just share that to give more in-depth uh hopefully understanding of what it means to cut a soul tie, what it looks like. Um, you know, hopefully that makes some kind of sense. Don't judge them, give them energetic boundaries. Energetic boundaries is I'm no longer going to expect you to be something. I'm no longer going to desire you to be something. I'm going to change the energy around what I expect from you. And then you have ideological boundaries. This is what I'm not tolerating. This is what I'm not dealing with. I'm not going to be available for this, that, and the third, right? And then they have to be congruent, meaning you can't color outside the lines for those that you like better. That's also an Aquarius theme, right? The socialists, connections and soul tribes, leaving people out and shit because you don't like them. That's not what we're talking about here. Okay? That's not what this is. You connect because you are on the same damn level, the same common goal, and you guys are building something, a community around that ideology, right? Um, it's very important that during this age of Aquarius that we really don't make this a whole high school fucking movie where we're having petty season like I'm not friends with her because ba 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 ba. The moment that shit starts is the moment you are out of alignment. And again, this is not about judgment. This is about assessment, family, so that you know where you stand in this journey and what you need to work on and what you need to fix for your own personal wealth and knowledge, right? Um, but we'll talk about that. And, as we go along with this Aquarius stuff and all these themes that are coming out Aquarius, right? Because I want to just back up real quick and state that this is also how Western um, culture has been able to keep you in bondage, right? Because they know universal law, right? They put all your spiritual knowledge in these movies and the symbolisms, right? They just ain't telling you that it's real. That's your job to figure out, you know? They're not lying though, you see, because you can't change energy. It just is. And it's there for you for the taking, but you got to be able to know how to manipulate these energies and make it work for you. And the only way you can do that is to stop co-creating with these motherfuckers. Now I know it's easier said than done, but I said what the fuck I said, bitches. We're playing chess here, not checkers. Get it together now. I had to say it. What? Don't look at me like that, y'all. Y'all know how passionate I am about this. I'm also going to post this on my other page because I've been going through this for a really fucking long time now. And I've been having meltdowns about this shit and I'm tired. Okay. Now, I know there's still a lot that I have to do on my end in growing and evolving on this journey, right? And it's been tough, but I'm gonna work through it day by day. But this is gonna be my last thing I'm gonna say about this, and then I'm gonna shut it down. Is that uh, remember, as a business, a community here that I'm trying to build as well, this is still relative to energetic um, cord cutting. So I talked about how I have another page and I had to shut it down and make a new page, which is here we are. This is what I'm talking about. I'm making an assessment about how people are interacting with the information that I put out and what you give back. So when you get a reading and you don't give a review, you're not asking questions, you don't want to know more, you're not being interactive. I just want you to know that I am assessing you and I will cut you off, okay? With love and appreciation, because in order for me to grow, I have to build an audience that is genuinely interested in what I am doing so that I can evolve and start to make money off of this information that I'm giving out. And if I don't hold you guys accountable for the way that you're interacting, I know I have to get more creative and I still got stuff to do. I'm not blaming it all on you guys, but I am going to say it because I've been saying it for a really long time. If you want to know why I changed my page, is because you don't give back the energy. It's disrespectful. Okay? It's disrespectful, y'all. Like, share, subscribe, tell somebody, you know, give love where love is being given. It's very Libra-esque. Okay, it's give and take so we can grow together, you know? And that's just what it is. And there's a lot of that not going on. It's not just here on this platform. Um, but if you are getting something back from what I am given, I would genuinely appreciate it if you reciprocated that. Thank you, you know, donate, you know, leaving some love and embracing, you know, because that's how you build on one common goal, the 4,400. I'm just saying, where you at in this? Because I am assessing you and I will cut you off. Is that what I said now, y'all? I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I hope you find this information helpful. Peace.